What up, what up, what up, world? Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, wherever you're receiving this audio. Welcome back to another episode of the Busted Coverage Podcast. That's B-U-S-T-D, no E because we don't need it. We want to thank you guys for tuning in right here on YouTube as well as Spotify. Before we get started, we just want to remind you guys to make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Give us a follow over on Spotify. If you're ever bored at work, you ever sit in 5 o'clock traffic, put us on, man. I think you'll enjoy it. Also, leave comments. We'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Ask us some questions. We'd love to go over that. Add some of this content. You know, it's good for the algorithm, too. Hint, hint. Anywho, Cam is our moderator today. My partners in crime, of course, Cam Griffin and Matt Baywood. Mr. Cam is going to go over our topics. We've got quite a bit to talk about this evening. So with that in mind, Mr. Griffin, take it away.
Yes. Well, you know what? It is a big night. It is all three of us in one room doing this podcast. For those of you who don't know, we usually do it from our separate locations, but now I can stare at Nick and Matt and make them laugh while they are talking and trying to be serious. This is going to be fun. And now we can see Matt's reactions when we talk about his Steelers. I cannot wait.
That
Quick
wasn't on the
update.
topic list.
That is not on the topic list, no. Don't. So not tonight. Quick update. The Knicks are down 25-26 with less than 40 seconds to go.
Nick
Knicks
said 125.
He did.
down one. Oh, down. My fault. Sorry. Down 1 point, 25-26, not 125, 226.
Nah, they're down 100, y'all.
Tied now. They hit the second free throw.
Oh, it's second free throw. It's tied. Nick is a big Knicks fan, so we will have periodic check-ins throughout the night. But I'm going to go over the topics that we will be focusing in on. One of our topics I was hoping we could get into a conversation about professional athletes playing in the Olympics or at the highest level of competition. Do we feel that's a good thing? Should they be allowed to? Is it amateur? Should we get people off the street to do it? I don't know. We're going to talk about it and see how Matt and Nick feel about that. How do you choose your MVP? Should we have criteria, eye test, draw names out of a hat? Should it wait till the end of the season, beginning of the season? When should we pick it? We're going to go over deep into that. And that's not just NFL or NBA. That would be any sport that we're picking MVP. If they can justify it, we will talk about it. Excuse me. Another one. Do we give enough coverage to sports outside of our big four in America? NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB. What other sports should we be focusing in on as Americans or just people in general? What sport would we like to see more on TV? We'll talk about that also. And then a different kind of topic that we're going to get into. Not a little touchy maybe for some people, but every kid at some point has a chance to become a professional athlete. If you break it down, we all start from zero and work our way up. Is it possible to be an athlete at any point in your career? Can anybody do it? We're going to talk about it, what it takes. And obviously, we're not professionals. We're here on a Sunday night on a couch talking about sports instead of playing it. But we will talk about it and see if it's something that we can do. Or maybe Matt has a stepson, so if we can make him a professional, so you all know. So, with that in mind, we're going to jump right into it. If you two are ready, I am ready. Nick, look like the first quarter's over, so you can go first instead of staring at your phone.
Yeah, now that they're at a commercial.
Commercial break.
Yeah.
Nick,
Yes.
let me ask you. Professional athletes performing at the highest level of competition, the Olympics.
Okay.
Should we allow that, or should it just be for college or amateurs? Or where do you fall on it?
I mean, I know like with the Olympics we have the trials, so it's kind of everyone's competing to go to the Olympics anyway. So whether they're a professional basketball player, if they're coming out of college, you know, they're going to share the court, let them compete for it. I know it's a little different with other sports, you know, compared to like track and field and gymnastics. Obviously, different criteria, whatever have you. I mean, I have no problem with pro athletes wanting to play in the Olympics. Basketball is a prime example. We have the top NBA players, and they're, you know, competing internationally too. Like there's Spain and France. It's not just the United States. So if a guy like Luka Doncic is competing in the Olympics and Jokic, right? I mean, Steph Curry better be there.
Well,
reigning.
he just had his first one, which shocking, but
That's what I mean. Yeah, like so, like guys like this is the best of the best. And when you're talking about something like the Olympics, that only comes around every 4 years, at least like for summer, for example. You want to put the best of the best that your nation has to offer. So me personally, I have no problem with it. I know previously, I know I'm using basketball as the main example. They used to have the collegiate level players go to the Olympics, and then this little thing called the Dream Team happened, and you know, yeah. So, but obviously it's different with like another example being that track and field. There was like some 16-year-old kid who qualified, was on a couple of the relay teams, and now he's a gold medalist.
Quincy Miller, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, Quincy Miller.
Like, that's crazy, So, if to think that only people in their, athletic primes, being like in their mid to late 20s or whatever, that's not always true. We've seen professional tennis players and soccer players in their teens, and we have a track star at 16, 17 years old who's already won a gold medal. So the sky's the limit for him, But if you compete and you qualify, that's what matters to me. So it doesn't matter what level. So as long as you're of, got to be whatever age to compete, I guess. But if a 16-year-old is running a 400 in as fast as an adult, what's that say about the adult? That's all I'm going to say. But with that, I yield my time.
All right, let me quick correction. It's Quincy Wilson. I'm not Quincy Miller. I'm sorry. I was thinking of an old TV show my dad used to watch. Matt, what do you think? Professional athletes, should they be allowed to perform at the highest level of the Olympics and or any international event?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard. Where, like Nick was bringing up, that we have several overseas athletes that come and play. Specifically, basketball is the primary sport that we're thinking of when it comes to this sort of level. But if you even go into like Luka Doncic, Jokic, all these people are going to play. I'm not going to recite everything that Nick just said because. But when you think about things like, there's different levels of professional, like. Yeah, those NBA players are getting ginormous contracts. So, like, we're watching them every day. But Michael Phelps was 15 years old when he went to his first Olympics. It's crazy to think about. But at some point, outside the Olympics, he's competing in other events as a professional. It's not being covered as much, which we could talk about later on one of your topics. But he is a professional swimmer outside of just the Olympics. It's not like, he's swimming, he's training, he's doing all these things. Controversial person here, Tanya Harding, the figure skater. I think.
Is that the one that got her leg broke?
That was the one that.
She's the one who undid her shoelace. Oh no! Or she punched. She undid her shoelace. Yeah, but
she's the one that hired the person to break that person. Yeah. Well, it was her ex or something, or her toxic relationship. But either way.
We will find a way to have that as a topic, because that would, for me, I'm older than them. It'd be great to go down memory road for that.
Right. I mean,
sorry,
that was
guys.
all over the news for months. Yeah. Anyway, like stuff like that. I mean, you got prodigies that are coming out of the woodworks to compete in the Olympics. I mean, we've heard reports that China starts looking for Olympic athletes when they're like 4. So it's. And that's like when people start, like, we've seen videos on, now that we have social media, we've seen videos of people that can dribble like Kyrie at 3, 4, 5. Like, it's just insane. The next generation of these athletes that are going to come up, it's the heart, the passion, all those things that get involved in it. And if you're the best at what you do, who's going to tell you that you can't compete for your country? Who should tell you that you can't compete for your country?
It's funny you said that, because that's a conversation we had not last time I was moderating, maybe the time before. 2 moderations ago, was how does social media affect athletes, and how does it affect sports? And actually, you're right, athletes coming up nowadays, we would have never known somebody like Baby Gronk is one that keeps popping up on my TikTok. It's like this.
And we're not talking about Billy Evans.
No, not our friend Billy Evans, who they in our flag league call Baby Gronk, but there's this 12-year-old, I think he's in Texas, and he's just beasting kids, and they call him Baby Brown.
We got the one-arm player that's possibly going to be drafted.
Hansel?
Yeah.
Emmanuel Hansel?
Yeah, in 2026.
You know what? I was curious, just a little going off topic, I was curious how he would fare in Division One lower level basketball. Not lower level, I'm sorry, it's disrespectful.
He just keeps
mid-major basketball. Just in general, with one hand, he actually did pretty well.
I want to see what his 2K rating is going to be.
I was very impressed with it. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out Hansel.
999.
That one-arm shot release.
Yo, I don't know what his dribble is crazy. One hand, he can still. He dribbles one hand, and some people do it too.
That's
crazy, and he's out dunking on people too.
It's very entertaining and very impressive.
It is. I love his swag. And I hope he goes and gets drafted, or at least gets a chance to play somewhere, because it'd be really cool to see him play. I'm upset he went to a smaller school, though. I would love to see him at like a Kentucky or a Florida.
Yeah.
Shout out national champions.
As a contrary, though, that would have to be the, like, specifically talking about basketball, like Olympic basketball. Professional basketball, are we talking about just NBA players or worldwide professional players?
For what? Professional?
Yeah.
Well, I think the topic would be professional in general, because the Olympics used to be amateur.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, and this is where I was kind of going with this, and we'll stick to the topic a little bit. What's professional in America, we deem as professional, is maybe not professional on another level.
Right.
Because our professional level of some of our sports is kind of what we do well in here is at the highest level. So let me throw the question back at you guys, because you guys said a lot of individual sports and some a team. Is it fair? We'll take basketball, and then I'll deviate into the other sport. Is it fair for us to put our best basketball team in when other countries cannot match 1 to 12 what we could do, and even if we had 6 teams, they probably would not be able to match all 6?
That's not necessarily true, because we've seen USA lose. Obviously, there was the Dream Team, which was just unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Redeem Team, which is when Kobe joined the team after they were going to get bounced from the Olympics. So it's not like the European basketball player and the Chinese basketball player and the worldwide, they're getting better too. They're catching up slowly but surely. I mean, I don't think that just because, we're seeing much more ethnic or worldwide culturally players like SGAs for Canada, Lucas, Slovenia.
Well, first, cut you off real quick. That Canadian team, by the way, was a major disappointment at the Olympics. Just saying.
It sure
SGA
was.
is the MVP in the NBA, rightfully so, but you need to work on your international game. That was upsetting.
Yeah, the
fan.
rules are completely different. European rules mimic the Olympic rules the most in terms of physicality and rules.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, like a Luka and a Jokic would have the competitive advantage in those, and we saw Luka not this past Olympics, but the Olympics before that, I believe. He took his Slovenia team to like 3rd or 4th place.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I don't see any issue with having, you're competing for the best athlete in the world, and if the NBA is the top tier talent, it's not all Americans that play in the NBA now. It's very diverse and growing even more so.
Mm-hmm.
We have a whole world of people that want to play in the NBA, and they're getting their opportunity now, so they should be able to go back and play for their country. Now, the reason why I think there's better basketball players out there than in the NBA that haven't been seen, like underground New York street ball players and Cali street ball players and people that never got the opportunity to showcase their skills in college.
Mm-hmm.
Could they play on an Olympic team? Yeah, they wouldn't have chemistry that they would in the NBA because they've been coached their whole career rather than just playing free ball. So it's different, but there are overlooked athletes that could have the opportunity. At least, it would be maybe not better in an Olympic standpoint unless they put dunk contest and shit in there. But something like that where they can showcase their skills, maybe in a new all-star setup or something that you could be able to see fans come and, show their skills and possibly enter the league that way. But in terms of Olympic athlete, I don't think there's any better than seeing what we see the best players in the NBA competing either with or against each other.
Can you repeat the question?
I went on a very long rant.
Yes.
I won't take as long as Matt, guys.
Nah,
Don't worry.
well, I forgot the question. No.
I'm just kidding. Love you, Matt.
Let's tailor it to what we remember. So we're looking to see if we should. Is it almost fair for, let's say, us versus other countries, basketball only, where we can put 1 through 12, probably top 75 players.
In short, my response was the other countries are slowly catching up.
They're slowly catching up versus other countries may have one or four.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. If you're German, you're German. If you're American, you're American. Figure it out. You know, like for example, France made the final, right? Victor Wembanyama, 7'5", whatever the hell, and that France USA game was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to Matt's point, that guy who dunked on LeBron, right, in the Olympics.
Oh, yes, he's on the
76ers.
He's on the Sixers.
Right? Yeah,
I'll get his name because we were at the bar. We stood up.
Dude, who you had
that confused me though, because there's people that are playing for Team USA that aren't of U.S.
I can address that in a minute.
Yeah, I think they can declare up to like a certain age, right?
Yeah, once you play for one country, it's really you can't switch. Well, you can, but it's very hard to switch over and go back. So, because this was his first one, he had options, just like Paolo Banchero had options, Italy or U.S. He chose to play for America and then didn't get put on the Olympic team, but chose to play for America in FIBA, and then he can only play for America now. It's like a big to-do for him to go back to Italy. And Joel Embiid, I think, would have been France, too. Is it French? He would have been France? Or Spain?
I think French.
French, right? So, Victor Wembanyama and Joel Embiid. But he would have been on that team, too. But he wanted to be, I think, supposedly they recruited him to be on the U.S. team, so now he can't go back and be on the French team. No disrespect, they don't need him. Victor Wembanyama is phenomenal. But, continue.
Yeah,
I digress.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, to the point of like, you know, you have these, and I think the Olympics, the World Cup, the whatever international stage, it's a great opportunity to discover these athletes. Prime example, I think it was 2014. I know this is not the Olympics, but the World Cup is the biggest stage for soccer.
Yeah.
Biggest sport in the world. And I don't know if you guys remember James Rodriguez, who had this great tournament for Colombia, all of a sudden gets like a massive contract to go play for Real Madrid, one of the biggest soccer clubs in the world. Same thing happened in the Olympics. That guy who dunked on LeBron.
Got his name right here.
What's his name? Say his name.
I am going to butcher his name. It is Gershon Yabusele.
Yabusele. So, Yabba Dabba Doo.
Go YouTube the video.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes. I think it's the Flintstones.
Oh, yeah. My fault.
Man, you know you cartoons, man. No, I'm just kidding. But he Yabba Dabba Doo'd on LeBron on the biggest stage, and that basically cashed his ticket to the NBA. Because I had no idea who that dude was, and then he yammed on LeBron. And I was like,
disclosure,
look him up right now.
He had a great game, too.
I know.
He had a great game.
That's what I'm saying, though. I'm like, yo, look him up right now. Who is that guy? And next thing you know, write that down. But and then next thing you know, he's on the 76ers. Mm-hmm. So it just propelled his career. Track and field is another great example where, I don't know, 97% of the track athletes, yet they're setting records and boom, now they're stars. And I would not have known that without them stepping into the forefront at the Olympic level, regardless of their age, gender, doesn't matter. So I think it's a great place for them to become stars or to become the standard for their respective sport. And I think as any athlete wants, they either want like one of three things. They want money, they want championships, or they want to be remembered as someone who played the game the right way or elevated the game. So to me, the Olympics is the ultimate place to do that, or the World Cup for your respective whatever, if it's not in the Olympics per se, which I think we might get into in a little bit. But yeah, so that's my opinion on that.
No, and you know, I think that's a good point. Let me ask you guys another question on this. Do you feel it's easier as a professional to make the Olympics as a team sport or more individual? Which one would you say? Because on a team, you're kind of hoping someone picks you up. Individual, you know what you need to do in order to get there. What do you think? How does that vary?
Here we go first. I would think it's probably a little bit more difficult to make it on an. Well, actually, that's a good question because, like, if you're thinking about it from an individual standpoint, you either have to place a certain spot, like be top 4, top 3. So you're basically just going head to head with the person next to you. You know, that's just what it is. And it's the fairest way to do it. But when you come to like a team standpoint, like, you know, you have coaches and whomever that are making the roster based on tryouts and practices and scrimmages and,
We hope tryouts.
you know, all these other things. So you could make an argument for both, where you could be a talented player. Like, what was it? Isaiah Thomas got left off the dream team.
Yeah.
Should have probably been the starting point guard.
This year, Jaylen Brown.
That was a Michael Jordan decision, wasn't it? Michael wouldn't have played without.
Well, we'll say this, guys. Oh, I forgot the name of his show on ESPN.
Which one?
The whole Michael Jordan documentary.
Oh, The Last Dance.
Oh, The Last
Go
Dance.
watch The Last Dance. He addresses it.
Yeah. So,
Not his fault, by the way. Someone said.
but you know, that kind of, when you have that kind of possible animosity or toxic environment, or not beef or stigma, whatever, but say Steve Kerr, who was the coach of the national team, I keep going back to basketball, but it's just the easiest thing for me to say. He's evaluating what's in front of him, and he's trying to make the best team possible. Some player, like a Tyrese Halliburton, may or may not have should have been on the roster. He got put on, barely played, but he's on the roster. Is that the best possible team you can make? I mean, in the eyes of the coaches and the scouts and the whomever, yes. You know, would I have put him on there? I don't know. That's not my decision to make. I don't get paid those kind of bucks. But from a team standpoint, it could be difficult if you don't have the bias, or those kinds of things could affect a player more. Whereas the individual, you got to make the time. You got to beat whoever's in front of you. Simple as that.
This question came up. I was talking with in California. I'm sorry, DC. Chris.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah, just a little kind of. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well, it'll get back to me.
Oh, my bad.
No, well, it's probably my fault anyway. But that's my question. Matt, do you feel that we look at it differently from the U.S. because when we put our Olympic roster out there, we'll go back to, well, even women's basketball too, I can say. We put our basketball rosters out there, and we have arguably some of the greatest athletes or player, well, let's say player, some of the greatest players to ever play the game in 1-5. Whereas Jokic is phenomenal, Luka's phenomenal, but their stories did not finish being written. So we're not going to put them above our collective starting 5. I'm not sure you could make a case for, I guess, Devin Booker, but he fits in the piece. I'm not sure you really take anybody off our starting 5 and put somebody else on there if the team's still not going to be better than whatever they roll out on the court. Should we maybe not go to iconic players in the Olympics? Or look, they're American, they can play? Or should they only be allowed to do one Olympics and it's next man up?
I'm sorry, just confused on the question.
I threw a lot of stuff at you.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches.
I'm just gonna clarify before I answer this because I feel
That's fair.
Are you saying?
You're
You're asking that like Luka and these foreign guys are great in the NBA, but it's not in terms of like.
Well, let me clarify. From
We're
a
not
team,
talking to say like USA versus the world type.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. So in Olympics team sport,
Yeah.
you're looking at all 5 players.
Yeah.
When we're saying, is it fair? We're saying we're putting arguably 3 out of 5 of the top 10 players who will have ever played the game on one team, and they're all still playing at a very high level.
Mhm.
And then the other 2 players who are starting know their role fit perfectly, but are top players in the league.
It is
Versus a Luka or Jokic team where it's them and players who can play around them, but you're not going to get these closer games.
I'd say it is fair, only because most of the people that are on our USA Olympic team don't play together. They play like LeBron was on the Olympic team. He plays on the Lakers. I think Anthony Davis was like his only teammate, and then there was Dame Lillard. He plays in the Bucks. Steph Curry, Golden State. Yeah, they play together in the All-Star games and whatnot, but that's like one game out of the whole year. And the last like 4 or 5 seasons, other than Joel Embiid, because he's technically French, have won MVP for the NBA. So it's not like it's just the outright, like it's not like Steph Curry and all these people are just winning MVP after MVP. Like they're already past that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into that discussion and how the MVP is decided. But in terms of like, is it fair? I think so, because yeah, it's a level playing field. The rules kind of make the USA team adapt in a way because they're not used to that sort of play, when and vice versa. The other players that are competing for their respective countries who play international basketball almost year round, Luka and these guys go back overseas and play international basketball for their country in various cups throughout the summer. So they actually have more of an advantage than USA, who doesn't do that. They go, they hang out, they go to Cancun, they spend time with their families. Luka's back playing international basketball already. So they have their advantage. They stay in tune with the rules. USA goes and they get with it in practice, and luckily they're good enough to adapt to it, and we could hold the gold medals up proud. But at the same time, I think it's definitely fair the way that it's set up.
So we're going to ask one more question on this topic, and I want to get both of your opinions on this. What advice or caution would you give NFL, since flag football will be entering the Olympics very soon? And we read that Justin Jefferson is very excited. It's been a dream of his to win an Olympic medal, as I hope he does. What advice or caution would you give NFL overall, the NFL, when it comes to the Olympics? Should they let their best players go?
So, I'm catering the advice that I'm about to give. Since Justin Jefferson's listening to this right now, please subscribe. Because the first time flag football will be in the Olympics is 2028, which will be in the United States.
Which is our next Olympics, by the way.
Los Angeles. Host nation.
Tickets are not on sale yet. Checked.
Like, you can't not win the gold medal. So, just to advise, if you do choose to play, which is totally up to you, and I'm sure they're going to have some sort of plan to figure out what team they're going to put out in kind of like a tournament maybe for whatever. This is 3 years from now. We're going to figure this out.
Well, part of the question, what advice would you give them?
The advice I'm giving is, if you're going to represent the United States in the first ever flag football event in the Olympics, as NFL superstars, this is our sport. All right? You cannot lose. I know there's a lot of very good NFL players, and I noticed, they have the stickers of their countries on their helmets. So I know, like David Njoku, I believe, is Nigerian. Correct me if I'm wrong. Either Cameroon or Nigerian. I'm sure he wants to represent that culture, right? That country. So there's going to be talented players representing other countries. that are playing in the NFL. But it's American football. All right? So all the advice I'm going to say is you want to play, great. If you don't, that's up to you. But if you choose to play in the host nation, the first one, anything but gold is a failure. That's all I'm going to say. So just understand that going into it.
I'm just going to take a different approach here. I don't think that it should be an Olympic sport.
Nigerian, by the way.
Yeah. I don't think that it should be an Olympic sport, period. I know football's growing worldwide, but it's not yet like mainstream. I mean, flag football is just now really taking off in the USA. Over the past 5 years, we've seen flag leagues, at least even across Connecticut, who barely has any sports leagues besides basketball. Flag football has taken over the whole state. We've seen leagues consolidate. Cash prizes are being held. Teams from our state are going to Florida to compete. They're putting in super teams. They've won down there numerous times. I mean, I would lean more towards semi-pro football, but like in terms of like you're gonna have the best players, like 90%, whether you're Nigerian or not. I don't know if Nigeria is going to be able to field a team for flag football. In terms of like conceptually, we grew up watching football. Everyone, for the most part, in the USA has watched football before and know mostly about it. I'm not sure that football has had that sort of outreach. We've been to Germany, Mexico, London, Ireland, Brazil, but I'm not sure it's gotten that sort of global outreach where it's deemed valid enough to be a worldwide competitive sport.
It's funny. Towards the middle of the NBA season, you usually see those NBA Care commercials. NBA Cares, and it's in some country with them handing out food or water sometimes. You don't see any of that with football. So I was curious when they said they'd make it an Olympic sport. I was like, well, do other countries even play football? In all fairness, or sorry, I don't know. So I'm with you. I don't know how it's going to be Olympic sport. When I think of it, I think of here. Baseball, we know is global. Football, soccer, we know is global. We don't win it, so we know it's global.
And the I personally don't even enjoy watching the Pro Bowl as flag football. So it's like, and the other thing that I have to say is that the guys that play flag football because we can't play in the NFL or didn't get that opportunity, or maybe there was an injury that happened and they still want to, live their dream of playing football to some extent, and they just get their burn in on a Sunday morning playing. These guys play in 7, 8s, 9s football. It's not the same as 11 on 11 at all. I mean, you've played both, so you can probably honestly say conceptually there's a lot of concepts that are the same from 11 to 7. Right. But in terms of like, you don't have, like quarterbacks, you don't have tackles necessarily. There are, but there's no guards in between. So it's like you got to have that athletic ability to go out and block if it's contact. Or are they going to do like just the center and then, a couple receivers? I don't know the format. I didn't really look into it that much. If it's 7 on 7, you're going to have a line and there's going to be one center and 2, in quotation marks, tackles.
Well, I think that'll be fun to see the schematics of it and how they set it up. Even thinking about it right now, and I'm like, okay, so devil's advocate here. I'm going to get, I know he's most likely an American, but just concept-wise with me, I'm going to get a Jalen Ramsey and a Justin Jefferson going at it in flag. To me personally, I feel that loses a little bit. But at the same time, I don't know what the rules are going to be yet. So we'll see. I mean, I'm with you. I'm a little skeptical of it. I'm hope they put the qualifications on TV so we can see.
And let's just say that there's 2 tackles on each team, like starters.
Yeah.
So 2 tackles times 32 is 64 people. You're going to evaluate 64 starting tackles. How are you going to pick the best one to go to the Olympics? Let's just say they're all American because we're playing in a.
Well, ironically, isn't that the funny thing we do with the NBA? Aren't we just going to take the best players
There's
who
way
want to
less
play?
people.
But aren't we going to just be taking the best players we think of?
Theoretically, yes, but
Well, if they want to play, they may not want to play.
yeah.
So. But I think that'll be thing. Or people come out and say, "Look, I'm American and Nigerian. I won't make the American team, but I'm going to go play for Nigeria." I think we'll find out what citizenship people have. Dual. Do they choose? Do we stack? Will a team be stacked, or will people go, "Oh no, we want to play you"? So I'm excited for it, but I don't know if we'll have enough fielded teams to where it's going to be great. I think Nick wants to say something.
I'm going to go into it with an open mind.
Oh, absolutely, because I don't think we'll see the physicality because flag doesn't allow for a lot of physicality like it does in the NFL. So I don't think we'll see that as much. It'll be great, but we won't see it as much. We'll see more agility, more speed. Now your 40 time, I feel, will actually matter because you can't be touched as much as you can in the NFL. So we'll see how fast some of these players are. I know Nick is hoping deep down that Cooper DeJean, who's winning the Philadelphia offseason at SMU, playing basketball right now.
You know who would absolutely destroy in flag football?
Oh.
LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah.
Crazy work.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Shady. Yeah.
Crazy work.
He would kill it. I would be curious right now, and this is the last thing I'll say. I'll let you guys finish it off. Which quarterback do you take?
I take a non-professional football quarterback.
Would you though?
Yeah.
Why?
Strictly because of rule mindset. If it's conceptual and they have time to prepare for it, I would take probably the.
Well, I don't think we're gonna just end the season and throw you in the Olympics. I think he'll.
Let's just say.
I hope not.
It depends on. Sorry, Nick, if I'm
actually low key.
No,
preparation.
I just like holding it.
Okay.
The microphone.
Preparation for flag will probably start. It's really funny you said that. Preparation for flag will probably start next summer.
So, let me go this route. If it's a 100-yard field, I'd take the quarterback that has the biggest arm. Not necessarily the highest accuracy, but the biggest arm with accuracy. Just not the, who has the biggest yard? It's like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, right? If the quarterback can run.
Well, you get probably two quarterbacks on your team. Just in case
I would take Lamar Jackson probably Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow.
It'd be an interesting scenario, right?
If we were picking professional athlete, like NFL players as flag.
They signed it. They can play. So you may get a Madden lineup on your team, an all Madden All-Star lineup on your team. You could have old LSU lineup, but you could have Jamar Chase on one side, Justin Jefferson on the other. You sub them out after 2 plays, and you might be looking at 2 more great receivers coming right in right after that.
However, if they were going to have a trial for flag people, I would genuinely consider, if I was the GM and I knew about these guys and we held a worldwide or nationwide trial, D-Block and Speedy, James Harrington from the Danbury League, because of how shifty.
Oh my God! Stop!
No, listen.
We're not taking.
No. I'm gonna give you my reason why. The NFL players, yes, they're fast. They can jump for the ball. They don't have the flag move, spin move, dip move, all those crazy moves that we've been practicing to avoid people from pulling our flags. You're gonna be missing that with the professional athlete.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, Speedy James Harrington is one of the Danbury High's former running backs in football. He's very fast. I'm not trying to hate on James. I like Speedy a lot. Great guy. Nick wants to say something.
I was his high school teammate.
Yes, he's a very, very, very good flag football player. I think he's gone down and won a few games in Florida with them. No hate. Just questioning we would pick Speedy over some of our. I hear your mindset. Don't get me wrong. I hear where we're going with this. I think, yes, speed is one thing. What we saw today, do we feel that maybe a corner who's not from the NFL representing, because we're picking on their state, their country, Nigeria, is really going to out-jump Justin Jefferson for a jump ball?
Listen, I'm just saying in terms of
in terms of technique, flag being a completely different game.
Flag technique.
A professional flag player is going to be a lot different than a professional football player.
Correct.
Because the concepts are different.
You get the dip,
I
karaoke
think
move.
I think your corners
We've
struggle.
seen Nick almost take a kickoff today. That was pretty nice. He had a couple little, you can't see what I'm doing
You
right
can't
now.
see what Nick looks like, guys. That's why that's going to be funny.
But I'm just saying.
In a few weeks, you'll see that it's Sunday night. Nick's got his bonnet on, and
that's right.
We're talking
That's
football.
+3 Madden ratings.
So
it's +3 to all your ratings.
But you know what? We'll upload a video one day of our flag, so you can see what we look like, and we just don't know what we're doing sometimes.
Segment, so you go before I keep going.
I appreciate that, man. What was Can you repeat the question?
Oh,
I'm kidding, man. I got my thinking cap on, my bonnet. So you were asking about what quarterback would we take?
Oh my God.
We were just asking, and then I just asked him. So what quarterback would you take then?
Yeah, but say you were talking about quarterback. Not off topic.
No, I did say quarterback, but then I also injected like half the Danbury.
He made it local. We went from talking about NFL to
now that you guys know what town we're in. I'm just kidding. Quarterback wise, yeah, I think there's two philosophies. I guess you go for arm strength or arm talent, if you want to call it that, and mobility. So you're gonna want to try to find the balance between those two skill sets. Josh Allen would come to mind. Jaden Daniels comes to mind. Lamar.
Would you do a contrasting style, or would you do two of like a Lamar and a Jaden Daniels, or would you say, you know what, I want some? I mean, Jaden Daniels is phenomenal, so I don't. Yeah, or would you do like, you know what, I want a pocket presence and I want a running?
I would think, me personally, I would take dual threats, just because of the nature of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The way
Straight dual threats or dual threat as in a contrasting? Like you would just go with Lamar and Jaden?
Both quarterbacks being dual threat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like a Lamar and a Jaden.
Yeah. Or maybe one that may want to prefer to be in the pocket but can still run. Or like a
So that would be like a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow or a Patty Mahomes.
Yeah. Or like a Jalen Hurts, go Birds. Just say someone who can throw from the pocket but still run, kind of thing. Or even not to say that he's going to make the Olympic team if he even wants to, but someone like Justin Fields would excel at that.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Justin Fields would probably be the quarterback if he was not going to be the Jets quarterback. Is it Jets?
Yeah, he's the Jet quarterback.
The Jet quarterback this year.
Yeah.
And I only say that because I think this would have been an opportunity for him. But being that he has an opportunity, I don't think he's going to jump at this. That's just me, though. I could be wrong. But, okay, so those are the things that we said. Professional athletes, some people are against it. Some people are for it. I think it might be the sport. Individual sports, for those of you who don't know, is a little, I feel, harder to make because you know what the time is. You can either do it or you can't. I can tell every high schooler in the country right now, if you run a 9, 8, 9, 7, you have a very good shot to go to the Olympic trials. Actually, that's the time. You run it, you can go to the Olympic trials. We'll have 20 heats of the 100. And then top 3 advance. I feel it's more open in track. There's a standard. You hit it, you get to go try out, so to speak. In sports where there's a team, it's who you know and how good you are. Mostly who you know.
Yeah.
What does your resume look like? And then do they like you? In gymnastics, again, score. This is the score. This is your event. Are you the best at your event? Show us. So I think team sports are a little different than individual sports. Individual sports, you don't have to be a professional. As we said, Quincy Wilson was not. He was a high schooler who ran really fast. And then he got taken because he was really fast.
No.
I thought you were going to say something, Matt.
We've seen various athletes, be taken purely because of their size or their speed and just completely
whether it's track and I was going to say, don't pause on the guy. Whether it's track and field with running fast times, swimming, we always see some high schooler who's would be a freshman or sophomore in high school come out of nowhere and be a great swimmer, or diver. Gymnastics, they're pretty young at times too when they come through. Fencing. I didn't realize some of the fencers are really young. It's actually pretty fun to watch. I would recommend it. But volleyball, beach, great to watch. I enjoy it myself. But we're gonna move on before we go through and name every Olympic topic. I think we started with Nick on that one. Matt, I'm gonna start with you. We're gonna move on to our MVP topic. How do you feel we should choose MVPs in any sport? It doesn't have to be basketball or football. Should there be set criteria, or should it be an eye test?
You said any sport?
Yeah, I don't want to focus on one specific sport. So, how do you feel we should choose? And you can name a certain sport if you want.
I just want to address this NBA season's MVP first. I don't know if I would have taken Shea as the MVP. I would have just given it to Jokic again, strictly because Jokic's supporting cast did not gel as well as we've seen in the past, and Jokic carried that team with the coach being fired, him taking over, basically being the coach, assistant coach, point guard, and center at the same time. I mean, his points per game was pretty damn close to Shea's. Shea had 32.7. Jokic had just under 30 at 29.6. Rebounds per game, Jokic averaged almost 13. Shea got 5. Assists per game, 10.2. Shea was at 6.4, and Shea's the primary ball handler on that OKC team. Jokic's field goal percentage and three-point percentage were better. Shea only beats him in games played, points per game, and free throw percentage, and I guess blocks per game. Somehow he has 0.4 above him. But
Jokic don't block
you
shots.
see, yeah, not really.
He's not shot blocker.
But you see how different when Jokic is on, how much he can just change his team's dynamic. And we saw that head-to-head versus OKC in this past playoffs, even though that doesn't really matter because it's postseason play and the MVP is decided off regular season. So strictly that, I feel like the NBA doesn't want to give it to somebody multiple years in a row. And that should be changed because am I mad that SGA got the no, because he's a phenomenal player and he will be a future MVP again. He's a great player. You know, OKC's not the same without him.
No.
So he definitely carried that team to the first seed in a phenomenal record. However, Jokic clearly had the better stat lines, and he clearly meant more to his team when Jokic is out. They literally don't do anything. That being said, the NFL MVP is typically quarterback. However, I don't know that should be the way that we look at it either. Because there's times where Aaron Donald could have been the MVP. There's times this past year, Saquon Barkley should have been the MVP.
You said that, not me.
I did say that.
I said,
or at least he should have been in the conversation for MVP, because years ago Antonio Brown for the Steelers, even though the receiver is a quarterback dependent position, he had an insane stat line. Receivers could easily be most valuable player. You take them off the field, and what are you going to do?
Weren't we looking at Tyreek a few years ago when he was about to hit 2,000 yards as a receiver for MVP?
Yeah.
It was to his second year.
Cooper Kupp, too.
Cooper Kupp, the Triple Crown
winner. Yeah.
But we always look at, because quarterback is technically the most important position in the NFL. We typically look at quarterback as the MVP, and it was a tight race between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson last year, and I feel like I thought Lamar might have deserved it a little bit more. Josh Allen sort of the stat pad at the end of the season, and I feel like they just gave it to Josh Allen because they already gave it to Lamar multiple times.
Well, it's funny you said that, because I thought Allen should have got it last year.
Yeah.
And Lamar got it.
Yeah.
So I think they were
Might have been a payback.
making up for it. Yeah. We see that a lot, I feel. We see a lot of makeups on stuff.
So it really goes into who is making these votes, because it's not the NBA as a whole, because I know that, or the NBA fan base as a whole, because if that was the case, they would root for the player that they know they watch the most. Like Knicks fans would probably vote for Jalen Brunson. Lakers fans would vote for LeBron or Luka. So it's got to be somewhat neutral, and people that are like, I think they have Stephen A. votes in it. He covers all of
a lot
sports.
of the Associated Press.
Yeah. So they just gotta get their set of guidelines. Whether is it going to be stats? Is it going to be like some guy jumps off your screen all the time? He's the difference maker on your team, or are we gonna give it to somebody because this person's won so many times? Because I gotta say, if LeBron was the best player in the league and the most valuable when he was carrying his team through the East 10 straight times, maybe not because he had some super teams in there, but just saying, not trying to give LeBron more MVPs, but I'm just saying if he was the best player for multiple years, I mean, we saw it in the 90s when they would give it to players more than 2 times,
Yeah.
And I feel like Giannis could have won it multiple times more. I think one year that Giannis did win it, LeBron should have won it. I've already put my point out about these most recent ones, but
yeah, they had the Embiid Jokic where they felt Embiid should have won.
I don't
Jokic
think Embiid should have, because of the way that he takes games off.
That was after he won, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I won't hold that against him for his award. But
yeah,
the year Jokic won, it should have gone. One of the years Jokic won, it should have gone to Embiid. And then they came back, it should have gone to Jokic, but they gave it to Embiid. So I think, Nick, what do you think? Should we have criteria, or should we go by the eye test? Or a combination of both?
I would say, combination of both. The way I view the MVP, and granted, I'm not a writer, I'm not a voter, I'm just a fan. I look at the impact that player has had on either the improvement, sustainability, or whatever of their respective team. So, for example, this past year, Josh Allen was the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would have given it to Saquon. Now, I am an Eagle fan, but being objective, I think I'm being objective. I'm being objective.
Okay.
The impact that he had on the Eagles franchise, to me, was the biggest individual impact on their respective team.
We saw the Eagles in the Super Bowl a couple years prior, and they couldn't do it.
If they didn't have Barkley, they don't go on that run. That's just my opinion.
Well, can we play devil's advocate there and say if the Bills don't have Josh Allen, we're not talking to? Well, they may not even have a football team, but it's a completely different team. Being that we know who their backup was and that he's not someone who did relatively anything at the next level.
Yes, but me personally, I don't think the impact that Saquon had was greater than what Josh Allen had for the respective season. Not to mention, Saquon was on pace to break the NFL record in rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think he got it because they sat him the last game, which is fair. Fine.
Well, you don't have to think that's why he didn't get it. That's why he didn't get it.
He was still the offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So you're already looking at him as being one of the 2 best players, right, for offense and defense. And, well, let me preface this by saying if Aiden Hutchinson never got hurt, he would have been the MVP.
MVP or Defensive Player of the Year?
Both.
Okay.
This is just my opinion. Plus, I do agree where the MVP has kind of become a quarterback award, similar to the Heisman Trophy being a usual quarterback award. Shout out to Travis Hunter. He deserved it. Actually, he didn't deserve the Heisman. Ashton Jonty did.
Thank you. I say he did not.
But he deserved to be a finalist.
There actually was no quarterback this year I felt that deserved the Heisman. Just throwing that my opinion. But I don't feel we had any.
It's normally a quarterback award, which I don't think is fair because there is a bias to the position.
But I will say this. Unlike the NFL MVP award, the Heisman's more likely to go to someone who's not a quarterback if they are deserving. because we've seen multiple years in a row. I mean, we've seen the best receiver by far with the stat. Your boy Smitty, we see at Alabama.
Yes.
We saw him win
Slim
the Heisman.
Reaper.
You know, we've seen
Skinny Batman.
You just said his name.
Antonio Brown?
No.
Tyreek?
No.
Cooper Kupp.
No. Colorado.
Travis Hunter.
We just saw Travis Hunter win. I know, right? We just said Travis Hunter win. But we were sitting here thinking it should have gone to Janty.
Yeah, I would have gave it to
John
John
T.
T.
We should have gone to Janty.
I thought it should have been the dual threat. Although John T meant more. The Travis Hunter playing both ways.
Yeah, I mean, ain't nobody talking about
that's
both
the
states.
reason why they gave it to him is because he did so well on both sides of the ball.
Which we should at some point get into a conversation about his minicamp videos.
Okay.
Because his receiving not looking very good. But that's a show for another day. Continue.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Matt has a leg that likes to kick wires. I'm just kidding. Hello, I'm just kidding. I'm playing. No, we just had a brief cutout. But we're going to pick back up. We were talking about the MVP discussion topics with players playing both ways, like Travis Hunter and stuff. But going back more into those MVP awards, I think it should be a combination of stats. I mean, pretty much every pro athlete passes an eye test to a degree, I guess, right? You know, they're big, strong, fast. Yeah.
Whether they're good or bad.
Yeah. So I mean, another good example would be like in baseball, for example, where you have Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani is clearly the most versatile baseball player on the planet. Actually, he was just cleared to pitch. He was pitching in batting practice today. I don't know if anyone saw the video, but he's dominant in two different areas of the game. But, if you really want to look at the Dodgers in their World Series run, Freddie Freeman was the most important player on that team in the World Series.
Every time he stepped up at bat, he hit a home run.
Well, it's what happens when Nestor Cortez throws, meatballs.
But mustache.
And that's why he's a damn Brewer. Anywho. But, having like somewhat an impact that just changes the trajectory of your franchise. Because, like, to me, if Josh Allen won the MVP in NFL, fair, he had a great season. But where did the Bills go? They're exactly where they were if he had won it or not. So that's just me. I don't know if we win a ring without Barkley. That's just all I'm going to say. So that, to me, is where the bigger impact comes in.
I like your segue there because that's going to go to the second part of the question I'm going to ask you. Should we wait till the season's over and then include playoffs before we name an MVP?
Yes.
Or should we just strictly make separate? MVP is going to be strictly regular season award, and then playoff MVP is something completely different. What do you think?
You could separate them as a, for example, the NCAA has a Player of the Year award. They have a Most Outstanding Player award in the NCAA tournament in the Final Four. I mean, that's perfectly acceptable. A sport like the NFL, I mean, you really only have the Super Bowl MVP as the postseason award. So maybe in the NFL, you wait till the season's over to account for all things considered. And I think it would also narrow the scope as to who those valuable players really are to their respective teams. Right? If you're going deeper in the playoffs, you're going to have a bigger impact. So someone and another good thing too is if the MVP is going to come between Lamar and Josh Allen as your two finalists, okay, fair, fine, whatever. They played each other in the playoffs. That should have a significant amount of weight towards how the end result for the award goes. So I do agree with that. I think, especially and even in basketball, Shea won the MVP, but if Ant-Man comes back and beats him in 6 games, who's the real MVP? The dude who we want to be the face of the NBA but may not want to be the face. right? I mean, yeah, he's doing commercials with the Billy Goat, Chet Holmgren, all that good stuff. Great. But in my Ant-Man for real. So, but now because we only look at it as a regular season award, the things Ant has taken out LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, and Jimmy Butler. And if he were to take out Shea and then win a ring against potentially Halliburton and Jalen Brunson, all these future players, all these future stars that are coming up, how is he not considered MVP? Or where's the postseason award for that? That's just my take. And with that, I will pass it to Matt Baywood.
I think regular season, because there's 82 games, you got to have an award for that. And I think that you should add a playoff MVP. That's as simple as it can get. I mean, same with the NFL. There's a regular season MVP. Then you have up to as many as, 4 games in the playoffs? Wild card, divisional, championship, and Super Bowl.
4.
You said up to, depending on your seeding, 4 games. NHL, I mean, it's a little bit more obvious who to pick for MVP, just because it's a much simpler game in that aspect. Like NBA, there's so much going on. I mean, yeah, they're very similar where you could have assists and there's hockey assists where 2 people show up on the stat line for some assists.
Mm-hmm.
Hits, goals, but in terms of like the primary 2 I think we're discussing here are NBA and NFL. So
well, it's actually, yeah, I mean, those are 2 that I thought of, but I think you both brought up baseball also. In any sport in general, do you feel like we should wait till the regular season and playoffs both end, or just MVP, like you said, it's a long season no matter what sport you play?
Baseball's tricky to me because you could have an MVP, like let's say Aaron Judge, the season that he was going to go break the what was it, Yankees hit home run record?
Yankees and American League.
Okay. World record, and there was like 20 straight games that pitchers were forced walking him. Does that now play a part in being that he's a crazy good hitter? If you're walking him so much that every time he gets up to bat, like say 10 times a game he gets up to bat, and he's getting walked every time, should that play a part in it? Based off of his earlier in season, because if you're going to play him for 80 games and he's crushing home runs, and then they're like, well, now the seeding matters or after 100 games, it starts really matter. Like it starts to matter a lot more. Do you take that into account that he got walked so many times, 50, 60 times before he finally got another home run or even a hit?
I would assume that would be calculated in almost. Well, there's a reason you're doing it because he's really good.
Yeah,
the same reason a quarterback wouldn't sometimes don't throw to the side of a really good corner.
And I think one of our friends, and I think it was Jamie or something, I don't remember who exactly we started the conversation with, but somebody got walked the other day, and we're just like, this is like spring baseball. Why are we walking people?
Yeah.
So, the baseball criteria is a little foreign to me, so I'll just talk on the ones that I really know.
Well, it's funny you said that because I brought up the thing again about in other sports too. I think every sport has it. If you have a dynamic scorer who can kill you and who's the MVP, do you foul him and make him get it from the free throw line? Like Shaq. Will we foul Shaq? We know he can't shoot free throws that well. We know to keep his scoring down, but does that take away his impact of what he has done? If you're a corner and you're up for MVP, but the quarterback won't throw to your side, I mean, that's a badge of honor. It means you're really good, but the stat's not going to be there because there's no way to, we can track it, but
the thing
it's not a major tracking stat. Unless you watch, you won't know.
Corner is hard. Did Dion ever win an MVP?
No. Not that I'm aware of, no. I think there's only been a few defensive MVPs in the history of the sport anyway.
The thing is that like a defensive end or an outside linebacker that pass rushes has more of an impact on the game than a corner. I think that the quarterback, running back, and defensive line to say are game wrecking positions because those are, and maybe receiver too.
No, you're right. You are correct. I was using it in the sense of you were using the analogy of taking an opportunity away from somebody by finagling around it, walking judge instead of giving him a chance to hit.
I see what you're saying.
Not throwing it to that
I think
receiver instead of giving the corner a chance to play, legit, get an interception. That's where I was going with the analogy.
I don't think that analogy will work for the MVP conversation necessarily in terms of
because corners aren't up there.
However, for defensive player of the year, I would.
Okay.
Because they just did it with Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
They stopped throwing it to his side, and he absolutely dominated when they threw it his way. So he won he still made his plays when he was called upon, and he deserved his honor. So
and I think there's the parallel to Judge. The pitchers who were dumb and threw it to you, you made them pay.
Yeah.
That's part of the game. It's what we do. I was not a baseball player in high school. I thought it was too slow for me, so I didn't play. But I do enjoy watching it with a good beer and a big screen TV. And Nick next to me, because Nick's hilarious when it comes to watching sports. For those of you who don't know, if you ever get a chance to come to Connecticut, Nicholas Pasampieri, find him, watch a sport with him. There's nothing he does not know.
We got to find a way to all be commentators on sports.
No. Well, let me say this: I've watched sports with Nick. No, it goes both ways. It's hilarious, but you learn a lot. But it can be kind of hilarious.
We should do a watch party one of these days.
Oh God. Quick update: it is 55-68 Indiana. Ooh, we'll get into stats on that later.
I think they cut the lead a little bit.
Well, they were down 10, then they went down 16, and now they are down 13. So. Yeah. We will jump into that later on because I am curious.
I was going to say, I think, it's funny. I was thinking about betting on this game. I know we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not. We're going to move on.
My thought process was either the Knicks are going to win by the hairs on their chinny chin, or Indy was going to blow them out. And I decided against it. I did not touch it because I wasn't sure. But, yeah.
This is going to be an off-camera or off-mic conversation when this is over because we're going to talk about this. But we're going to move on to our next category. And this one's a little more open. In general, in the U.S., do we give enough coverage to other sports outside of our big four? And is there a sport that you feel should get more coverage? And what would that sport be? Baywood. I looked right at Nick and I said Matt's name.
Yeah, you led me on, man.
I did lead you on. I was trying to say, and Matt's texting. He was not paying attention. That's what
I was actually looking at the Knicks score.
I know you were. I'm teasing. We can make fun of Nick later.
Not my team.
Unless they come back and win, then we'll look like idiots.
I'm gonna say that there is enough coverage for other sports, and I'm gonna say why.
Mm-hmm.
The golf gets a whole giant section of the day because it takes so long.
You mean all summer?
Golf gets a lot of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to say that this is necessarily a sport, but poker gets a lot of coverage.
Oh my God. That's like saying the air guitar that we saw on TV the other day. Stop. No.
Hey, Ocho. Right.
If that's... We've seen cornhole get coverage. It really depends on what channel you watch. You got to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about on mainstream networks like ESPN?
Look, I'm saying coverage in general.
If we're saying coverage in general, then no. If we're saying coverage on mainstream networks like FS1 and ESPN, I would say I think they could show love to other sports, but hey, if they're not going to, we will.
What love? Like what sport?
Swimming. You don't hear about swimming unless it's Olympic. That's true. That's number one. I mean, we see tennis. We could go watch a tennis game. That's pretty covered. I mean, every time I turn on ESPN, after, the A and B block, there's tennis playing. ESPN2 all the time.
I think also TNT didn't they sign a deal to show more tennis?
I think so.
Something like a big deal.
I think they're losing basketball, so
there you go.
They gotta fill the void.
We could cover, and I'm hoping we cover the Little League World Series, show the little guys some love.
Oh, hell yeah.
That shit's bad. I used to love watching that when I was growing up.
It's funny you said that because we should show some love to the College World Series, which LSU baby,
Yeah.
let's go. But a
So
lot of good college teams out there, and actually some very good MLB prospects coming out
and
of the
outside
SEC.
of the Olympics, there's a lot of those sports that we don't get the opportunity to watch on a regular basis. Sometimes because like Winter Olympics is conditioned, you're not going to get snow year round, at least where we are. Um, but you know, I'd love outside of the X Games and whatnot. You don't really see skateboarding. You don't see BMXing. You don't see snowboarding. You don't see skiing. You might see figure skating because that's in like an arena, so you're able to see that. Not necessarily that that's my cup of tea. Just saying, if you wanted to watch it, it's covered.
True.
But we got new sports that are getting added to the Olympics. That I don't know if this is the time to get into it or we're gonna get into it later, but that I found interesting that we just kind of educated ourselves on this morning after our game. I think it's ski mountaineering.
Oh my God, yeah. Nick, you were talking about that, right?
No, that was me.
That was Matt.
No, I was both you. You were having the
Yeah,
conversation.
we were having a
about
conversation together, and that's basically a sport where it's like a winter, like Nick had phrased it as a winter triathlete, because you're climbing up a mountain, and then you have to transition to ski down another part of the mountain, and it's Olympic style. You have to ascend and descend multiple times. So that is incredibly difficult, whether it's a train course or not, or an outline course or not. That's difficult. And I mean, the closest that you might know better because you were a track star, but is track and field covered outside of collegiate?
Yes.
Like you could go watch it on TV?
Yeah, they put some very famous races on TV. Let me not put it that way. Events on TV. Penn Relays is put on TV every year. It's outside. It's probably the biggest international track competition held in obviously at UPenn. It's 4 days long. It's teams all over the world come and they play all ages. So you get middle schoolers to 99-year-olds all running. I won't say anybody can do it, but a lot of people can enter. We have schools from Connecticut go too. Danbury's been there. We were gonna go in Brookfield. We didn't go. We chose to do O'Grady's, which I still shake my head on because we won O'Grady's our races, but it would have been nice to do something international. That's 4 days, and then they have the SEC, Big 12, and no longer the Pac-12. Their championships are on TV, and then USATF's nationals are on TV, which are 3 days long out in Los Angeles. But if you don't know when to look for it, like I'm a huge track person, so I know they're on TV, and they're on ESPN. Penn Relays isn't, but the other ones are on ESPN. Then you wouldn't know, but they are on TV, thankfully, because I watch them.
So,
and I scream at the television.
To conclude my point, I think that there is coverage on things, whether it's mainstream, or just covered on one of those channels that you pay for that you don't know you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's covered. You just got to find it.
So before I get to Nick, I'm going to say a sport that I wish we covered more because I actually enjoy watching it, even though I don't understand the rules at all. And Nick knows this sport because Nick used to play this sport. And I enjoy watching it at the Olympics every year because there's always some beefy people in it that make me laugh. Rugby.
You're not going to include me in that?
Oh,
I played rugby.
That's right.
For 5
You did
years.
play rugby. See, I like to leave
Fellow
that out of
ruggers.
everything.
You're a
These
Western
are,
alumni too, right?
Western
Yeah.
Connecticut State University alumni rugby members Matt Baywood and Nicholas DeSampieri. I enjoy watching it during the Olympics. I wish we had it more on TV here.
Olympics is sevens?
Yes.
Oh, is there more?
In rugby, I'll let you explain it since you haven't talked in a minute.
Well, this is exactly why we need it more because I didn't know I knew it on the Olympics.
Well, so primarily there's union rugby, which is 15 on 15. What you'll see in the Olympics is sevens.
Mm-hmm.
So those are more faster players, backs, wingers, more open play. Different set of scoring systems, different length of games. So the sevens games will go a lot faster because they're shorter. I think there are also some parts of the world that will play 10 on 10. I don't like 10s. I like 15 on 15. That's the traditional.
Agreed.
That's the real deal. Yeah, rugby's a great sport.
Very similar. It's like a hybrid between football and soccer in a way, because you get your kickoffs, you get your extra points. The kickoffs are different. We've actually seen rugby implementation of drop kickoffs in the NFL very rarely, but it has. And in terms of subs, once you sub out, unless it's a blood timeout, you can't go back in.
Can't go back in.
So that's like soccer.
Similar to soccer.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact of the day. Do you know why it's called a touchdown in American football?
All right. Well, I was doing my trivia questions after, and you just stole my thunder.
Is that your question?
No, but you did a trivia.
Well, you're gonna have a harder question. This is not really a trivia question. This is a
Is this
fun
for
fact.
Cam to answer?
No.
No, I'm not. This is a rhetorical question.
Yeah, it's rhetorical.
My answer would be that you have to touch the ball down in rugby.
Right. That's where it comes from.
In order to score in rugby, for those who don't know,
Yeah.
if you just walk across the line with the ball, you can
Doesn't
still
count.
get decked.
You gotta put.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
You gotta touch the ball down.
Yeah, I was
They call it
curious.
a try.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm always wondering why they dove on the floor with the ball. Is it just cross the
yeah,
line?
you
Why
gotta-
they're
Just
not
because
down?
you're
gotta put
down
the
by
ball on the ground.
contact in rugby, if you're sliding and you get that ball over the line,
if you're not held down, you can get back up.
Yeah.
Anyway, to Cam's point, rugby, it's a cross between soccer and football, American football. So I think a lot more American viewers would actually enjoy watching the game, especially sevens, because it goes faster. There's speed and excitement that comes from long runs
Yeah,
and things
15
like that.
is more of like a soccer pace.
I'm gonna ask you both this question, and we're gonna, because I'm hosting, we're gonna have it on my question to ask you too. Do you feel enough people don't watch it or know about it because we don't have it in our schools
I think that's part of it.
to know what it is? Because I didn't hear about. Well, obviously, I heard about rugby, but like I didn't see rugby until I went to college.
Right. And there is a professional rugby league in the United States, but it's very young. So to your point, where it may not have the level of investment or like money like the NBA has, the NFL is a huge, multi-billion-dollar corporation type vibe.
It was just really getting its feet started when I was in college.
Right. So like for the U.S., rugby's really only taken off probably like early 2000s when it really started to play internationally and stuff like that. U.S. has been in Rugby World Cups and in the Olympics, but in terms of having its own league, that's still a very new kind of concept. I think it has a lot of potential, but I think it's going to take investment. And our people, I think also too, because there's really no padding. So people may think the perception is that it's a more dangerous sport because you don't get thigh pads, knee pads. You can wear a scrum cap, you can wear an undershirt with little padding on your ribs and stuff, and a mouth guard, and then get your ass out there and go hit somebody.
All right, I'm gonna ask the question. Just in case people out there thinking, I'm thinking, what is a scrum cap?
Okay, so a scrum cap.
Can I phrase this funny?
Sure.
I swear to God, if this is like a cup, I'm gonna feel stupid.
No.
No.
I'll feel stupid.
Not a scrotum cap. You know the helmet that they put over the helmet in training camp for the
That
NFL?
soft one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picture that, but very small or
So if
leather.
you've ever watched like the 7-on-7 little things with like the high school kids and they're wearing that thing on their head,
Yeah.
that's a scrum cap.
Oh, okay.
It's very low light padding
All right.
to minimize. But to be fair, I've gotten injured far less in rugby than I have in even flag football.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's the question of what it was because I didn't know.
I mean, it could be a cup,
It's a head cup.
if you're blessed, but but yeah, it's a basically a helmet.
All right.
Yeah, so that's really the main because you don't get shin guards.
Can't even wear leggings.
Yeah, you can't wear leggings, which is wild because, when it's snowing and you're on turf, God forbid. Oh, my God.
I got told by the sir, who is the referee.
Yes, the sir. Or the madam.
To take my leggings off in a game, and I had no underwear on under them.
Well, thank you for sharing that conversation with everybody.
Remember, he ran for the touchdown, bare ass.
My God.
Matt's our new Bobby Boucher.
Here come the stories. Real quick, you guys didn't play together though, right?
No, we were 1 year separated. He left, and I came.
I went to the city team.
Yep, which I played for when he wasn't on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we never actually had a chance
aren't meant to play together.
However, we have been trying to incorporate some rugby tactics in our flag football league.
Haven't done it yet.
No.
Well,
we haven't been given much of an opportunity.
No.
I wasn't on your wing today, or you might have considered.
I was actually gonna just grub it.
Oh yeah.
Just kick it in the air.
So
what the hell is grubbing it?
So
it's when you kick it on the ground.
Okay,
you're able to advance the ball forward by kicking it and chase it and recover it.
All right.
But
anyway,
if we could show that.
If we watch a game together, it's actually really easy to explain and follow.
Yeah.
I think it's because there's more people, it's a bigger field, and just the familiarity of it.
In 15s, it's easier to tell what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, and that is why our question is, what sports should we give more topic to?
Rugby.
All we have to do is go to Molly's for brunch.
Oh my God!
Wait, I have one more sport.
I was going to ask you, what is your sport?
For what?
No, Knicks.
Oh.
Now, this is gonna sound a little stupid.
All right, everybody, prepare. We meant to shut the mic off.
Gymnastics. I think if they had a league of gymnasts, that would kind of be really fire. It'd be super competitive.
You know, the funny thing about
It'd be kind of similar to track and field.
Is that the last before last week, the last 3 weeks before that, all that was on ESPN was gymnastics. So it's really funny that that's what you just said.
Yeah.
I think the youngest gymnastic Olympic athlete was 10 years old.
Dude, the things that gymnasts can do, like the acrobatics, the core strength, when they're when the dudes are on the rings and they're holding themselves I mean, you guys can't see what I'm doing right now, but they're doing whatever that hold is, where their arms are straight across, and they're literally sitting in a chair.
Yeah, they start in a T position. And
the core strength, the commitment to your craft, all of that. I think it deserves a place where they can compete, get paid, have further exposure, because the only time we really get to see Olympics is either college or the Olympics. I don't think there's really much in between that I'm aware of, aside from a national event or whatever.
There's
unless there already is a gymnastics.
I watch a lot of
TV.
I know they go on tours. I know we had one at the XL Center in Hartford, and Simone Biles was here, and she was one of 10 or 12 gymnasts who came in and they did the whole routine.
Yeah.
And then I think they ranked each other.
That'd be so sick if they had the LA team versus the New York team or whatever. That would be so sick. And I'm not saying dude, the whole stuff when they're what's the thing where they're on a monkey bar? Not a monkey bar.
The balance beam?
Whatever it is. I'm sorry to anyone who does gymnastics. I just don't know what it's called. And
which one?
Monkey race.
There's 2 bars.
The uneven bars?
Is that what? Yeah.
Oh,
dude,
yeah. That's sick.
That's sick. They're doing all kinds of crazy flips, and chalk is everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's again, but the strength, the routine, the commitment to the craft. I just think it deserves its own little,
So you want to know what I thought gymnastics was? Well, first of all, it's always been great. I took it years ago. When I was younger, I did gymnastics. It was something a bunch of us did, and learned how to do cartwheels and round offs and all that fun stuff. I'm too tall now to do it. I'm 6'1", not really tall gymnast. But Carrie Strug, do you know who that is? Now I'm gonna tell you this. You may not know her name, but if once I describe what happened, you'll know exactly the scenario I'm talking about. She's the well, you know Carrie Strug. She it's not the bounce beam, it's the push off thingy. She ran down the beam, jumped off the springboard with the broken fibia, and landed on one leg.
Oh, that was her.
That was her.
Okay.
Every time.
Was that in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Yes,
Every time I watch that video, it's motivation. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Literally, you can do anything.
That's awesome, dude.
But yeah, gymnastics is a good one. I did rugby. Matt did a whole bunch.
I just have
did a whole bunch.
Hold on a second.
Stealing our thunder.
I have one off ball, but I also want to just say that there is high school rugby in Connecticut. Cheshire has a high school rugby team.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll say this. A lot of the rich schools.
Yes.
A lot of rich schools. A lot of the bigger schools. Some of the bigger schools in the more
in populated areas will have.
What's the word? What's the word we use in banking? Affluent areas.
If any
have
team local
more
to
sports.
Us should have one, I think it should be Danbury.
Ridgefield has one too.
Ridgefield has one, yes. But my point in that conversation was not all schools have one. Like, I'm gonna knock on wood here because it's not true, but some like a good chunk of schools have a basketball team. Almost all schools have a soccer team. Not all of them do, but most have a soccer team.
Yeah.
You know, it would be nice to see that sport come into it also.
Even if it's a tri-school thing, because Bethel did like a Bethel, Brookfield, and Reading hockey team.
Which has grown, because now I think it's Bethel, Brookfield, Reading, Immaculate, and I think Abatech too. Well, nonetheless, this isn't a local show that much. You guys don't know who those schools are, but I think it's about 4 or 5 towns that are on it. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's something we should do. Like men's volleyball, Brookfield didn't have men's volleyball. Now I think we do.
And there's no shortage of fields.
Yeah, we have fields all over. Unless you were New York City, we have fields everywhere. So you can't go too far without finding one.
So my sport is also kind of a solo sport like gymnastics, but it's rock climbing, and more of the more dangerous one, which is skyscraper climbing.
I wish you guys could see the faces I'm making at Matt.
Number one, rock climbing is another one of those sports where
and we're losing half our viewers. That's all I'm gonna say. You oh my god, no. I'm sorry.
No,
hold on. Let him give him a chance.
I gotta tell you, because I personally
I think you should put the thinking cap on.
I don't need it to finish this thought.
Commercial break.
We had one with our technical difficulty.
We need another.
Rock climbing is a mix of all strengths: core strength, physical arm strength, back strength, legs. I mean, you see people, if you're rock climbing up a mountain. Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties again. I think we were just out of storage.
No, the computer knew they didn't want to hear about rock climbing. That's basically what this was.
So we got our forced commercial
skyscraper climbing.
Yeah,
climbing in general.
I have been longing for these people to keep climbing these skyscrapers. Number one, who wouldn't want? What better coverage than walking down New York City and seeing someone halfway up? The new World Trade Center.
we already have that. It's called King Kong. Have you not seen it?
Yeah, I don't want to have to pay the movies. I could do this for free walking down the road. Oh my God, this. And then secondly, the people that are breaking glass window panes out to pull these people in or making them try to climb down. Descending in rock climbing is the most dangerous thing in the world. Going up is not an issue. Let them, as Nick said, throw chalk everywhere, get up the building. I mean, we've seen the guy tie the line between the tightrope guy.
Oh yeah,
that walked in between the two twin towers.
Dude,
let these extreme
time.
Sports live. Let these people live, man.
What did you say? The twin towers?
Was it the twin? It wasn't it. It was.
Oh, they're not there anymore. But
no,
yeah.
the guy, the French guy, came over here to walk in between the two World Trade Center buildings.
Oh, back in 2020. What?
It was like
14 years ago. I know who you're talking about.
So anyone that's trying to be Spider-Man, you have Matt's endorsement, basically.
Facts.
That was my favorite superhero growing up.
Oh my
I have
God.
a hidden,
They used to call him Miles Morales in high school.
I'm done. But yeah, no, those are the sports. I'm gonna try and get back on topic here. We won't go back to the rock climbing.
1974.
Okay, so it's just an old video
A
then.
French high wire artist, Philippe Petit, took his position at 1,350 feet above the ground in the South Tower, high above the streets of New York, and he just kept walking back and forth across the tightrope from side to side.
I remember seeing that video.
I think they made a movie on it.
Well, I'm sick just thinking about it because I don't like those kind of heights. But yeah, no, that's more of like a daredevil thing. Not sure I want that to be a sport. Not sure I want to tell my
It's
parents
just
what I'm
like
doing after
American
school.
Ninja Warrior, but only climbing.
Shout out Joe Morosky. But yeah, that is
Can we
true.
add American Ninja Warrior to the Olympics? But
Do you want to call it just that?
You know the
Olympic
irony about
Ninja
that
Warrior?
is they were
Ninja Warrior.
they were actually talking about adding that at one point. That's really funny that you brought that up. I'm gonna call Joe. I'm gonna see
Just
Joe
make it
come talk
a
with
mix
us.
of Wipeout and American Ninja Warrior.
Now we're getting
Wait,
ridiculous.
I have something to add.
No, I'm done. After we heard the whole Spider-Man thing from you two, we're good.
No, well, first of all, that was him.
Well, you've got a mic in front of you. I can't really stop you. So what are you trying to say?
You know how they have ESPN 8 the Ocho?
Oh.
Yeah.
They should do the Ocho Olympics and just pick 8 sports. So I would go with dodgeball. You go the slippery stairs.
Diddy them things up.
We just
No,
saw
no, hey, yo.
Kidding.
we are on a mic.
Hey, yo.
We just saw that on TV though.
Yeah. So then, yeah, you add whatever other crazy, wacky sports, and you make it into its own little sub-Olympic thing. And you do it every couple of years, and then they're the Ocho champion.
I think we gotta host that.
I'm down. I personally think dodgeball should be an Olympic sport, but that's always passed. But anyway, sorry. I'm sorry.
If y'all could see the look I am giving these two right now, wait till we go to cameras. Wait till, because I give these two a lot of looks because of some of the crap that comes out of their mouths. And don't forgive my French. I'm sorry.
He wanted to see the French guy tightrope. At least I said the Ocho.
Oh my goodness, I can't with you guys. Quick update. Knicks game is at 5, 77-82. Pacers are still up, 10 minutes to play. We will let you know how it rounds out. But going back to our topic of sports, are there any other sports within short answers that you feel you'd like to see in schools? Obviously, we're not going to see slippery stairs in schools. I don't know if I want to call it.
I have a real sport.
But is there a sport that you feel that I think it'd be better off if we did this sport in schools?
I actually have one because it's one of the most popular sports in the world.
I swear to God, if you say, what is it?
Cricket.
Okay, okay.
No, I'm back to being serious here. Yeah, it's one of the most popular sports in the world.
Uh-huh.
Fun fact of the day: there's this cricket player in India who has more Instagram followers than LeBron James does.
Well,
he has over 100 million followers.
There's like 1 billion people in India.
But that's my point. If the U.S. started playing cricket, I mean, it would take a little while to catch up.
Yeah, we started playing soccer.
There's
We're still not there yet.
a lot of cricket events going on around.
Yeah, dude, it could blow up. I mean, we're still a little behind in rugby, of course. We're always going to be behind in soccer, probably. But if we're playing sports that the whole world's playing, it's just that extra exposure, and then other countries are going to be like, oh, USA's playing cricket now. Like, I don't know, it just would help grow that sport too because of how we could put it on TV or whatever,
I said rugby too, but it's funny. If you watch an Olympic sport, a lot of the sports we do have in some schools, but some we don't. Like, we have fencing, some schools have fencing teams. We have skiing, some schools have ski teams. Handball was a PE class. I would love to do a handball league.
Handball would be fun.
right? It's we play.
I see that on TV every now and then.
I've never seen handball on TV except for the Olympics.
No, I have.
It probably is. Oh, you're just mad because I said I saw all your sports, but okay, I see what we're saying.
No, I got one. Nick already mentioned it, but it's dodgeball. First of all, bring dodgeball back to high school.
Headshots only.
Well, hold up. Are we bringing back with the old like balls that are like
the kick
you
balls?
can't see the size,
yeah,
but
the red
the ones you can like deck at people that are rubber? Red ones, red and blue ones?
Because I do think that there are some of those kids that even at a younger age need to be pelted in the face.
And do you want to see dodgeball? That's my question. Do you want to see dodgeball back as a sport, or you just want like a punishment?
Well,
yes.
All right. So let's two-face because I was a camp counselor at one point.
Oh, me too. You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball. That's
Yep.
great saying. Thank you, Stiller.
And when our particular camp banned dodgeball, the kids were beyond upset.
Yeah, don't name drop, please.
No, I won't.
I will later, but don't. I'm mad at them, so I will name drop.
So, that being said, even if it's the gator skin's kind of like fucking curved.
Yeah.
But that nothing is more satisfying. Even like number one is my favorite Pro Bowl event. That's not the flag football game. Is watching them play dodgeball.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, we did a glow in the dark dodgeball at WestCon, and
God.
I curved a ball. And it went this way, and it curved back and hit some chick in the face. Not saying that we should be hitting women, but it was a co-ed sport here.
I don't think anybody was thinking that until you
I'm
said
making
it out.
sure things get taken out of context.
All right, this episode will have rating next to it.
Please do not take that out of context. We're talking about dodgeball here. But I'm just saying, watching that chick curve, it doesn't need to be glow-in-the-dark dodgeball, but just, bring it back at all ages.
I remember dodgeball, and again, we won't name drop because I'm not trying to get in trouble for what happened years ago. But I remember there were certain counselors that when I was a camper, we had some people who were bad, and then all of a sudden we were playing dodgeball 20 minutes later. So, again, I won't say who, because some of them have subscribed, and we only have 40 members, so you can figure out who they are.
For now.
But I would like to see it come back because it overall is a fun thing.
So you were at the brunt end of counselors versus kids?
Oh no, they never hit me. I was good. I was good, and I didn't care. My mom was more of like, if I came home clean, she had questions. If I came home hurt or dirty, she's like, "Oh, you had a good day. You're good." Yeah. That was me. I didn't care. I didn't get in the face.
For the kids, you do the quick lob up and then fucking pelt them with the other.
Oh, well, I won't talk about when I was a counselor. I'm talking about when I was a kid, when I was a camper.
Yeah.
No, when I was a counselor, dodgeball. It was kind of the tail end of being able to do dodgeball in schools and camp. So we went from the really awesome red kickballs to like furry balls.
Furry.
Like cotton, literally. It was awful.
I never got hit with a furry.
You're not missing anything. But I digress, and we will move forward. Nick, you're down 1, 85-84, 8 minutes to go.
Have faith, guys.
Well, no.
Faith in a quarter equals 25 cents. No, I'm just kidding.
That's really funny. Okay, our next topic's going to be an interesting one. We're probably going to spend some time on it. Not too much time. We're going to spend a decent amount. Finish off our night before we get into our final segments is what it takes to become a professional athlete, and can anybody be one? And if so, at what age should you start? How do you guys feel about that? Matt, I said before, you have a stepson. For those you know, he's awesome kid. Is it possible if let's say, taking him out of the equation, in general, we just name dropped him for no reason, but hey, why not? Is it easy, or can anybody be an athlete?
No.
Explain.
Not everybody has the physical capabilities of speed, strength, vertical jumping ability for certain sports that require it, hand-eye coordination, aggression. that can be taught in a way, but it really depends on upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't believe that everyone, just based off of those few points off the top of my head alone, that everybody can be a professional athlete. At least in the big four of sports, you might have an opportunity, being that there's so many sports that some people don't even know what they are. Some people just don't like the outside. Some people like playing video games. Some people, unless you're actively training to be a professional athlete from the day you grow up and you're outside and that's how you blow off steam, like we see athletes just endlessly train and train from either from their parents making them coach, or because they wanted to be out of a toxic environment, or they just fell in love with the sport the first time they saw it. Do I think everybody can be a professional athlete? Absolutely not. Or else there would be many more professional leagues.
Does everybody at least have the opportunity to try and become one?
No. Because we see that's tough, because how many people do we have, like, what, 300 to 400 million people in this country alone? To become speaking for the U.S. alone,
Mm-hmm.
to become a professional athlete, typically you have to go through college. It's very rare we see people become professional athletes outside of high school. And some people are so athletically gifted and they don't even make it through high school, that they drop out and are forced to do other things. So do I think that everyone has an opportunity equally? No, because not everybody can afford to go to college and get to that next level, or their parents couldn't afford to put them through sports in high school and pay for the equipment that they could have gotten a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other factors, or they chose not to and focused on academics. I don't know. Opportunity, I don't think everyone's gifted an opportunity to become a professional athlete.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what the fun part of this conversation is going to be. Um, Nick, what do you think?
I would say that I probably would say no.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the kind of similar to what Matt was saying, where like in order to reach those heights of being a professional athlete, you do have to be in this higher percentile of athletic capability. Not to say that, obviously there's, work ethic, there's a lot of other factors that tie
Mm-hmm.
into how you're able to harness your athletic acumen, right? Because you could jump as high as you want if you're, late every day or you're not putting in the effort and stuff like that. You may not get the same amount of playtime as someone else. To me, like me personally, I knew I wasn't going to be a pro athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5'8", so there's not really many sports I would have been able to play. The ones that I like to play, I was also told by my guidance counselor I was too small to play any pro sports.
Yeah, we should revisit some of
Yeah.
those conversations
Shout out
down
to
the road.
Phyllis Transillo. Hope you're listening. Haven't forgot it. But at the same time, I chose that. Like, I accepted, not accepted it, but, well, yeah, accepted it. I knew that, like, I was only going to get to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get to the next level, would have taken, stuff that was pretty much out of my control. Like, I would have to have run so much faster, jumped so much higher. I'd also, playing football and stuff, I didn't have the stats. I didn't have the tape. So what is a scout going to see? They're going to see me blocking. Like, so that doesn't get you a scholarship. You got to score touchdowns. You got to hit home runs. You got to drop a bunch of threes. You have to have a really good record, whether you're playing tennis, golf, whatever it is. And there are great athletes everywhere. And circumstances affect it, upbringing, condition, stuff like that. But I think in terms of from a physical standpoint, I don't think everyone gets the same they get the same opportunity in terms of everyone starts out, 0-0 on the scoreboard. kind of vibe, right? I mean, if someone puts in the time,
let me kick you right there, because that's exactly where I was going with this. And I know most of you guys, in your comments, you both said a lot of controllables, which I was going to bring up. You said, well, school, well, this, well, that. Well, that's stuff that you control. You control how you act in school.
Mm-hmm.
So you not doing your work is on you, which goes to, as Matt said, your work ethic.
Yes.
So if you fix your work ethic, that might change other things based off of what the comments that some of you guys made.
Mm-hmm.
Continue. I just want to point that controllable out. But and I'll let you finish and I'll do mine, because I do not agree. So I wanted to bring that up.
Now, I think if all things were controllable, then yes, everyone should have the same opportunity. And then it comes down to merits and ability.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that all situations are controllable for all athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to have it be a level playing field everywhere.
Exactly.
So yeah,
we're gonna sit on this for a little while. I was I was against it for a while. I was like, you know what? I don't think everyone has the same opportunities. Not anyone can be a professional athlete. And then I started thinking about it, and I was saying, you know what? At what level are we talking professional? Because you go overseas in different sports, there are different levels of professional. Now, I wasn't going to throw this out there and say, oh, you're wrong, because I'm not. I think you're right. I think if we take the highest level high and say professional, then, and that's your goal, then no, not everybody's going to be in the NBA. Not everybody's going to be in the MLB. Not everybody's going to be in the NHL. One, there's only so many people that are allowed to do it every year anyway. There are leagues of couple 100, not even 1,000, 100 on some of these levels. So by that default, no, you cannot. But everything in a vacuum, a lot of kids start off doing what? We all played soccer at some point, F division, running around just chasing the fucking ball, not knowing what the hell we're doing. But we were outside. Some kids play with flowers in the grass. Some kids chase and kick the ball. Some kids pick their nose. I don't know. Kids do different things. You find out, hey, maybe soccer's not your sport. You need something more stimulating. All right, let's try football. Well, some of the kids just love to run into each other. So you can kind of break down what your kid might be good at. And you're right. Maybe it's not for them. But that's the same opportunity they had as everybody else to start off with. Your parents tried it. Wasn't you. All right, cool. That's a whole new people out of the equation. Still had the same opportunity. Just chose not to. And ironically, at 2, not really surprised what kid's going to want to chase a ball when they can be distracted every 30 seconds doing something else.
That's kind of twofold, though. Because some rich schools have, like, like Greenwich, hockey, football, baseball, rugby, swimming.
You don't like one, you go to another.
Exactly. You have more of an opportunity to become a professional athlete, lacrosse, all those different sports.
Versus a Danbury who does not.
Versus even like a smaller town like Bethel, who only has soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, football, baseball, softball, and they do have a swimming team, but it's joint, and they do have a hockey team, but it's joint. But there's schools that don't have even half that amount.
And there are a lot of schools. We are not from the exact affluent area up here. Well, we are the county, one of the top 10 counties in the country, but not the affluent area per se. So we do not have every sport in our school. So you're right. At that point, we probably would not get a kid who wants to be a professional, because we said the sport earlier, rugby player coming out of Bethel, Connecticut, because we just don't have it. Now, if that's been his lifelong dream, I'm sure his parents, or he, at that case, one of the, however that happens, because I've seen it happen, they can make it happen. He can go to private school.
But there are uncontrollable aspects.
That is an uncontrollable. Yeah, you can't
control. There
control.
are other ones, though.
Well, that's a major uncontrollable, because if you don't have it, flip side, if you don't have it, you're not aware of it. They don't have it. So you could grow up playing, like for me, I grew up playing soccer, not knowing what the hell track and field was till I got to middle school. and I am way better at track than I was at soccer.
Let me put it to
but I
you
was
this
pretty
way.
damn good at soccer.
How many Nate Robinsons have we seen in the NBA?
What do you mean, like 5'8" that can dunk, or just small players? Because we have a lot of small players.
I'm saying below the average small player. Like,
so below 6'2".
Like below like 5'11".
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I wouldn't say a lot. I'd say there's a handful.
We're talking about
we're talking about like 5 to 10 players that height out of 7 billion people.
But there's a lot more 5'11", 5'7" to 5'11" players in the world.
Yeah.
But
my point is that when you have a league,
but hold up, don't forget. I said professional. I didn't say it necessarily had to be at the highest level.
I understood, but I'm just saying when being that we're watching the highest possible level, and you down tick it a couple notches, it's still very similar. Like even like NBA, G League, under whatever the league is, like, you know, the average height.
But it goes down. When you go to different professional levels, it goes down
a little bit.
But
I'm saying even in a 6'2" average, the NBA is like 6'7", 6'8" is the average height.
Yeah,
and you have people that are 5'2", 4'11", 4'10".
So
I don't think they have an opportunity to be.
You say 4'10".
Yeah, there's people that are 4'10".
No, you're right. No, I didn't say that. You're right. Well, actually, there was a guy. I wanted to make sure I heard the height correctly when you said 4'10" after saying 6'7". So here's my attitude again. When we said professional, and a lot of people will be like, "Well, he's wrong. You can't." No, we said professional. We did not necessarily mean highest level. It could be any level of professional paid athlete. So, same argument I give for college. There is a college for you out there. There's thousands to choose from. There is a division or level of professional athlete out there in some country. Are you winning because you're making a face? Knicks are winning, people. Out there for you to play. In the NFL, you probably can't be a 5'8" lineman. Probably not going to happen. Are you even 5'8"?
I'm like 5'8" and a half. I could be a fullback. I probably
won't be a 5'8" lineman. I'm just looking because they said that comment at football earlier.
I told him I wasn't a lineman.
But that's in the NFL. There may be a league somewhere else where you could be a 5'8" lineman. You're not going to be making $6.4 million a year, but would you be happy with $150,000?
Hell yeah. Listen,
I'll give you an example. I got to call my friend, and when I should do this. Shout out Terry. Terry actually is 6'9". He plays in China. I forget which team he plays in, but he led the league in rebounding at 6'9". Not 6'11", not 7 foot. He's 6'9". Chose not to play in the NBA. His comments, why play in an NBA and sit on the bench and make this much when I could make more playing overseas in a different level? So there's levels to this. So if your dream is to play in one of the major 4 sports leagues, baseball might be a little different because there's so many farm leagues and so many farm divisions, but the other ones, you have an opportunity. You just have to realistically know how high you can set your goals.
I still don't agree with the fact that some people don't have the physical abilities to be a professional athlete.
So here's the thing. Your physical abilities, you mean what you're God-given or what you can develop yourself into?
Both. Some people out there, there's a ceiling for everybody.
But you don't know what your ceiling is until you push yourself.
Let's say somebody did push themselves. If you're saying an opportunity to try, that's different than an opportunity at becoming a professional athlete.
But hear me out here. So let's do this. So push yourself. We'll talk about pushing yourselves. Here's one. Messi. Messi is God-given. Great athlete. Ronaldo. It's not God-given. He worked very hard at that. It's skill that he built and learned and developed. It looks God-given, but he'll be the first one to tell you it was not.
How are you going to say that Messi's was God-given then?
It's just he's had it. He's had it for a young age. He's been able to do it. God-given. We all know it. I believe even text Tommy. Tommy will tell you too. It's one of our friends, by the way. Sorry, guys. I forgot I had the mic on. I thought we were just having a general conversation. But there are some people who don't have to work as hard because they're just naturally as good at stuff. It's what happens. I've been fast my whole life. Could I have gone faster? Yeah. I beat a lot of people just by showing up. Had I worked on it, I could beat a lot more people and been a lot better than I was. There are some people who just have it, and some people who have to work really hard to get it. Can anybody be a professional if you have the want to and will? You may not be a creme de la creme, but can you get paid for what you can do? Yeah. How many times have we watched Division I sports in general and said, I'm better than that person? That person sucks. When I was that age, I could have done that. We've all done it. But what stopped us? It wasn't opportunity. Because when I turned 18 and went to college, I did anything the hell I wanted. I was in the gym 5 days a week. I was lifting 5 days a week. I could have done anything.
I think this is motivational here.
But I think because...
But I don't think it's realistic. In my opinion.
So then how do we get kids out of nowhere who come up and say, oh yeah, I'm from East Bumble, Connecticut, or I'm from East Bumble, Iowa, Minnesota, Alaska, where they didn't have the opportunity, but they worked hard, they got a break, which might have just been, hey, I went to this college, didn't play, but got played one game, got my tape, sent it to a better school. Dalton Connect. Perfect example. What school did Dalton Connect go to? Before Tennessee.
No idea.
See? Actually grew 4 or 5 inches after his junior year in college. Went to Tennessee, great player. Before Tennessee, no one knew who the hell he was. Well, the coach knew because he recruited him. But before that, no one knew who he was. Those stories come out of nowhere all the time. So what's stopping somebody? Yes, if your height is 5'5", and that's as tall as you're going to get, maybe the NBA may not be for you. But there's no reason professional leagues overseas don't discriminate against height. We go on YouTube, we see it all the time. We see these 5'9", 5'8" kids come out and go play overseas, and next thing you know, they're averaging 15, 20 points a game. If we get the stigma of our 4 major sports leagues out of our head, can anybody be a professional athlete? Or at least have the opportunity to become one?
I still don't think so.
It's rhetorical, but yes, I feel we can.
I just think there's too many people and not enough professional sport to go around.
But it's opportunity. It's not like if you get as far as you can go, you're a senior, you graduate college, 60 people can be drafted, you're not one of the draftees, all right, only 60 can get drafted, but you put yourself in a situation where you had an opportunity, right?
I'm not trying to be rude here, but many people in my high school, even that did try to stay in shape and get the best out of their ability, specifically to just to run the mile, and couldn't get past the 9-minute mark. Like, really put in the effort, ran every single day, did this, that, and the other thing. Like, yeah, you're saying that maybe that's not.
Side note: running every day is not going to get you that.
No, I understand that.
No, I know.
But I'm just saying they put in work. They tried to get cardiovascular, in shape. They did training, this, that, and the other thing. They just didn't have it. They couldn't get to that point.
But those are the same people who can't do the mile, but can do the marathon.
Okay.
But it's still an event. Maybe that individual event or type is not what you should be doing. It's something else. Like you said, it may not be one of the rich school things that we have where you have so many opportunities, or you don't have the opportunities. It may be something else.
I don't know, man. There's people that step on. They can get hurt walking down the road.
But that's a time and unforeseen. That doesn't count. You could die walking, fall down my stairs, and your life could be over.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, some people just aren't built for it.
Look at the Kentucky kid. I hate saying because God rest his soul, but he died. Would have been a lottery pick. The one from 3 years ago. I think he got shot.
Oh,
sorry guys to say it out loud, but so we're gonna end it there. That's my thought process. Obviously, I'm an optimist, but no, I think if you work real hard, you know what you want, and you set yourself up in life for your opportunities and you know what they are, then why not? No one's failed at it yet where they've hit a goal and set every bar. You find somewhere to play. Maybe that's not your sport, but it might work for something else. How many times do we look at soccer players, oh, we're washed up, and next thing you know, they're punting in the NFL. We got track and field stars, kickoff returns, or NFL players in the Olympics. They all happen. You just got to know what your calling is. I think everybody's got the same opportunities. You just, obviously, we develop differently. And your probability goes up or it goes down, but it's still there. That's my personal opinion. But we're going to move on and we're going to start closing this out on this Memorial Day weekend. We're going to start with Matt.
Oh, boy.
Matt, are you ready? I can go to Nick.
Give me 2 seconds.
You want to rant first? We can rant.
No, I got the pick.
We're going with Baywood's bets. Matt, I have a question for you.
Do you need the thinking cap?
Do you want the thinking
cap?
Got it. What? Or actually, how am I spending Nick's money this week?
The Panthers completing the sweep.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that.
Wow. Panthers completing the sweep. So
let's send Carolina back to CT.
Oh, please, that'd be great. Wait, are you going money line? Or are you going?
The line and the money line is.
Because I took the minus 1.5.
It's 175. I'd take the minus 1.5 as well. Just based off of how this series has gone, Florida has just been dominant.
Belt to ass.
Yeah.
No thinking cap needed, huh?
Nope.
Yeah,
no further explanation needed.
Just that. Is that the only bet we're looking at this week?
I've been doing. You'll have to check the comment section, but it depends on the outcome of this next game.
Oh my God. Well, 47 left.
198 Knicks.
So we will find out probably right after the show ends or before it's over who will win
During Nick's rant.
during Nick's rant.
Should I go long enough to find out? No.
No. Well, actually, no, because we're probably going to do a lot of fouling and. God. Nicholas.
Are you ranting about what I think you're ranting about, or are you ranting about something else?
I don't know what you're ranting about this week, but what is grinding your gears today?
All right. So.
I'm sure the game will still be on, so you don't need to drag it out.
Don't worry. So. What the hell is his name? Is it Peter Shraeger?
Yeah, it is what I think.
Is that his name? Is that his name? I have to actually, let me get the exact details about, the dude who's, biting my style a little bit. So as you guys know,
yes,
I get upset sometimes. Not all the time. But when things make me upset, I get upset. So, Nick's rant is basically being copycatted by Peter Shraeger. Matt, would you like to let the people know what his segment is called?
So,
listen to this. So first of all, I have Nick's rants, but go ahead. Just
so
let them know.
During the week at work, I sometimes turn ESPN on, and all of a sudden I hear about a new segment that's popping on Get Up in the Morning, and we're not talking about morning wood.
Oh my God.
And it was Pete Shraeger on a segment called For Pete's Sake. And he came on and ranted about something that he was angry about, and that seemed like it was, going to be a regular thing on the network. So just pass it back to Nick.
Yeah, so for Pete's sake,
This is a deli in Bethel, by the way.
stop the riding, dog. All right. Listen, this has been going on for, what are we on, 14?
Yeah, this is the 14th week.
14 weeks, dog. And I guarantee you, I'm going to be doing it for longer than Pete Shraeger, who formerly was at NFL Network. You already know. You want to know what was wrong with him? He likes the Jets, so you already know something's wrong with him. All right. That's number one. Number two, he goes to ESPN with Get Up with Greenberg, who's also a Jet fan. So there you go. Strike two. And then you want to bite my flow? Come on, dog. Here's the thing. Nick's rants will always be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Authentic. It'll be more real. It's from the ground up, motherfucker. All right? So, Peter Shraeger, stop the riding. Stop the capping. All right? ESPN, don't you have enough things? Don't you have like ABC and Disney and, The Mandalorian and all those other, like, how many more things do you have to steal? And you also have a sports book. By the way, how is it possible that you guys get to broadcast all the bullshit, the Ocho, the slippery stairs, you get the NFL, you get all this other stuff, and yet you guys can't come up with something original, so you have to come to the Busted Coverage podcast with no E because we don't need it, unlike ESPN. All right?
And you can't spell Shraeger without an E either.
Yeah, you also can't spell Shraeger without bitch. All right? So,
And there go
Peter
all our
Shraeger,
followers.
stop the writing. All right? I'm warning you. And I'm telling you right now, if I ever see you, I'm not going to do anything like that. But I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let you know that you're a thief. You're a crook. You're stealing my flow, and it is not appreciated. So, for Pete's sake, you better stop with the bullshit. Bitch.
Well,
I apologize for my profanity.
yes,
We already
yes.
marked it E for some shit that I said. So
E
it
for
don't matter.
explicit.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is marked M for mature. This episode.
That's Pete's fault.
This has been bothering Nick all week. I can attest to this because we were talking
Bro,
about it. This has literally been on his mind all
You
week.
know how long, I'm normally not an angry person.
He was so excited to get to today's episode so he could rant about
Dude,
it.
You know how, I have to really get up in my emotions and in my feelings. 14 fucking weeks that I've had to do these things.
M for mature.
Yes, and P for passionate, all right? I take this very seriously. I take my anger very seriously.
So that segment went live at 9:45 on Tuesday. And I texted at 9:49 after I heard him going and saying, "This isn't as entertaining as Nick's rants."
No.
And immediately texted in the chat, and Nick just said, "Oh hell nah, I'm not letting him slide."
Yeah, no.
Since Tuesday, this has been brewing.
And I've seen Nick. Did I do Tuesday?
Probably,
I
yeah.
saw you Tuesday. I saw you
He was
Wednesday.
wide awake. He hasn't slept since.
I'd do
And
it.
he's been complaining
I've
every
been
night
drinking more
since.
coffee than Mel Kiper.
Oh my God.
That's another one. He
So-
looks like a cokehead.
So yeah.
Him and Peter
Hold on,
Shraeger.
hold on.
Oh, my
And
God.
breaking thing. It looks like it's a jump ball with 9.7 seconds left.
Knicks are up 2. Live commentary. Here's the inbound. Brunson dribbling around. He's fouled by Halliburton.
Oh my God.
No, that jumper he hit was crazy, though. Not going to lie. But yeah, Peter Shraeger, you can't do what I do. I'm giving you live commentary. I'm ranting about you. We just did a whole ass show about all different things that your network don't talk about because all y'all talk about is Lakers in 5. You don't talk about nothing important. All you guys do is, you talk about nothing but bullshit, and you stare at all the female reporters. You guys don't do anything important.
Oh, well,
right.
there goes us going on a live stream, mainstream episode.
Hey, you know what? But this is what we're supposed to be. We give you that real shit.
Edgy.
Right. That's right. Edgy also has an E, like ESPN.
It's a sports
But we don't
after
need
dark.
the E.
We're just G,
Right. Exactly.
but not PG.
So, Peter Shraeger, with all due respect, cut the shit, dog. And I'm sure you're not listening, which is also part of your problem. Maybe you'll learn something.
So he's gonna show up to my apartment now.
I hope he do.
He
Catch me
won't.
outside. How about
Being that
that?
there's so many breaks in this episode,
You won't be there. You won't be there when he does.
There's so many breaks in this
I got
episode.
a bonnet
I
for you
don't think
too,
I'm gonna
cuz.
be able to, manage to clip all three of these together tonight. So tomorrow I'll probably launch this episode.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can break that rant off on Peter Shraeger, and we'll try to tag him on some shit.
You know what? Yeah, and you know what? I would just tag Nick's address on there so he pulls up the Nick's house. Because
I hope he's at the Bristol.
What's that one meme like? Bitch, I hope the fuck you do.
Well, we don't know if he's on ESPN in New York or if he's on ESPN in Bristol.
You pull up, cuz.
Anyway, we are going to move on.
I'm just kidding, Peter, but for real.
And we are going.
Stop the cap. Love you, Peter. I'm just playing with you, man. I'm just playing.
I can't with you.
Stop stealing my flow. But
we are going to my game of the week. Obviously, hockey season, NBA playoffs. Looks like the Knicks are going to pull this out and come back 2-1. But because we will be at the game Tuesday night, I am going with the Dallas Wings and the Connecticut Sun. Welcome back to Connecticut Page Beckers.
Oh yeah.
Or Page Buckets.
Page
I was at the casino this past weekend, and I will tell you right now, this game is sold out, basically. So I expect a good game from her and everybody. Connecticut blew up their team, but you know what? Tune in to find out what happens. How does she do? Usually when UConn players come back to Connecticut, they put on a show. So we're hoping for that. And we're going to end it a little differently today, everybody. I have a sports trivia question. So I'm going to ask Matt and Nick to put their phones down because they're both a bunch of big cheaters.
No, I've never cheated.
And we are going to see...
Watch off too.
You have an Apple Watch?
Yeah, not anymore. It's on the couch.
It's on the couch. So we are going to see if they can answer my sports trivia question. I'm going to try and do one every week.
Oh.
Not that hard. This is pretty recent, so you guys should get this one.
Okay.
I'll go back into that. And don't say it out loud. We're going to pause. Don't answer till I tell you.
Okay.
In case people at home are trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Don't give the answer.
Got it.
Raise your hand. In 2010, the assistant coach of which NFL team deliberately tripped a Miami Dolphins player from the sidelines, earning a season-long suspension? If we had what's that show? Jeopardy.
Mm.
Da-na-na-na-da-na-na. Oh, we'll get a few more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nick, do you know who it is or what team it was?
I know it was an assistant coach of the Jets,
That is correct.
but I
It
don't
is the
remember
Jets.
their name.
They didn't know his name either. Nobody. It doesn't matter. But he was also fined $25,000. So a little lighter in the pocket.
Are you gonna say his name?
Oh, they didn't give me his name.
Oh.
Wait. They didn't give me his name.
Tune in next week to get the name.
Tune in. I like that.
reveal
Tune in
next
next
week.
week to get his name before I answer the
I
question.
was gonna say Mike Tomlin originally because he's got in the way of Jacoby Jones on a kick return.
You're gonna
I
make
didn't
me look
at
this up? Was this him?
It was
No,
he was on the
it
Steelers.
was,
He was standing looking at the jumbotron. And
I remember that.
He claimed that he saw Jacoby and himself on the jumbotron. Yeah, please.
Was I can't remember. My brother would know the answer to this question because he's a diehard Jet fan. I know it was a coach of the Jets. I just don't remember his name.
I just said that.
Yeah.
All right, so
I think Rex Ryan was the head coach at that time.
Yeah, it was an assistant though.
Yeah.
So here's his name. It is Sal Alosi. Sal Alosi, the New York Jets strength and conditioning coach, was suspended without pay for the remainder of the season and fined $25,000 for tripping a player.
Yeah, I think it was one of the gunners coming down on a punt.
Nolan Carroll.
And he stuck his knee out and he tripped the player trying to come back into the field of play or something like that. Yeah, I just didn't remember his name. That's funny.
Yeah, the team got fined $100K.
Yeah.
So that is our trivia question of the day. We'll have another one next week, and I'll get the players' names this time just so you guys know. But no, that was it. So tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen. I think it'll be a Maddie B hosting.
And I gotta redo my topic list because Cam decided to take my a notebook from me.
First of all, I did not take your notebook. These were genuinely
No,
came
I
out of
saw
my
him
head.
take his notebook.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm kidding. No, he didn't.
no. Actually, Nick was right next to me when I wrote these, so he could say it, but he was next to me. So,
I was there.
but yeah, fellas, that's it tonight. Kind of summing it up a little. I liked our topics; they were different, and I think that's one thing you'll see with us throughout as we go on with this is that our topics going to be a little left fieldy, but you know what? It's something different. And I think different, like Nick said, is something different than you'll see on ESPN or you'll hear on other podcasts. Why not?
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Oh my
I'm just
goodness.
kidding. Pete, I'm just playing with you, man.
I can't with you right
I'm
now.
playing. It's just a joke, man. Don't take it personal.
This
You
is
do.
basically Nick trying to hold out while the Knicks shoot their free throws.
I think the game
But it's over.
Cat in an interview.
106-100. The Knicks came back and won game 3.
It was a 20-point deficit, the third 20-point deficit that they came back from this postseason.
We win in the series, homie. To the finals we go.
And here we
Orange
go.
and blue skies.
Oh, God. And in another 5 minutes, you'll see Stephen A. come on and do the same thing. So, with that being said, let's go out. We'll call it a day. And Matt, take us home. It's goodbye time.